You's a goddamn. Welcome to Dream Unrealistic with Jonathan Berry. Thank you so much for pushing the play button. I'm so grateful, so glad. So do me a favor, don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about my process as an actor for creating and developing a character. I've been acting here in the Pittsburgh area for about 23 years now, and it's an amazing experience, and thought I'd try something a little different. So without further ado, let's get it. All right. So when I think about developing a character, first thing that comes to mind is, and first let me say that when I talk about developing a character, I'm not talking about getting into character. That's a different video, and will come in future videos. But if I were to start at the top, I would say get into your script as soon as possible. The moment you get your hands on the script, come up with a schedule so you can eat that thing daily. Take it in, give yourself at least an hour every day to focus on your script. If you're an actor with a full-time job like myself, you may choose to get a good night's sleep and wake up early in the morning. Difficult. You'll have to, work it out for yourself. I do so much in the mornings, taking medications, working out, whatever. But there's, not much excuse for not doing what you need to do to achieve your daily goals. So make it work for yourself. So come up with a daily, weekly schedule for getting into your script, and give yourself at least an hour, and try to find that time of day for you which is most productive, where your mind is most alert and sharp, and give yourself that time to kind of hyper focus with clarity on your script, the words, the meaning of the story, the language, and start your study work. And when I talk about study work, I mean your character mainly. Studying other characters is how you learn about your character. Take some time as you read your script to jot down or take a mental note of everything that's said about your character. What does your character say about himself? What do other people say about your character? Where did your character come from? What was your character's experiences? What was your character's influences? What was your character's background? A good script will tell you everything you need to know about your character. It's really not hard. You just read that thing. And pick it apart. Now I say good script, but for me, the creativity comes when the answers aren't all there. You got to figure it out. And you figure it out by looking at your character. What is your character doing? What is your character saying? And why is your character moving the way he or she moves? Why are they saying what they're saying? Why are they doing what they're doing? And what could cause that? So you look for you look for answers to these questions in your script, and you start to piece these things together, filling holes. If it's not there, you're going to have to come up with a reason. If you can't answer if the script doesn't tell you, then you're going to have to answer these questions for yourself. But it needs to be based on some fact. It could be a fact that you create, but it has to be based on something that makes sense, something that goes along with what the story is trying to trying to tell you about the people in it, or the story itself. So you've done that. You've done your study work. You've studied the other characters in the play. You've taken time to make note of what people are saying about your character. You've taken time to take note of what your character says about himself, and you've answered all the major questions. So you know who this guy is. You know if this guy needs an accent, and I say you know if this guy needs an accent. If it's not necessary, then why go there? So I mean, we love to create. We love to show each other, the audience, our fellow actors, how talented we are, and that's wonderful. But the thing about accents and really going over the top with your character development, that if you can't sell it in a really natural way, it's going to come off fake, and we don't want to do that. If you can carry it off with a level of truth that isn't distracting or repelling, then go for it. But make sure it's necessary and crucial to telling the story. I've noticed that we as actors, we love to show off our ability to take on accents and things like that, myself included, of course. But just make sure it's necessary when you think about taking on an accent or playing around with the way a character talks and even moves. One of the first things I learned when I became an actor back in the mid '90s, one of the first things that was drilled into my head was to transform myself, to make sure that I'm not walking and talking the way that I walk and talk. Am I moving different? Am I speaking the same? Am I, are my nuances in this character or in this story the same as my nuances are as Jonathan Barry? So that was drilled into my head very, very early on as I grew to mature as an actor. I learned that, the best way to sell a character naturally is not to go over the top, not to work so hard to be different that I come off fake. So, I hear people say, this person, looks like themselves in everything they do. But then you have to ask yourself, does this person tell the story? Do they tell the story? Are you taken someplace else when you watch them act? Okay. If you're taken someplace else when you watch them act, if you're totally engulfed or immersed in the story, then they're doing their job. It doesn't matter. Your Keanu Reeves. Oh my God, what is the guy's name? I can't think of it. Keanu Reeves comes to mind. There's another actor, a famous actor, guy that wears the shades all the time, receding hairline. He goes to all the basketball games. Anyway, Jack Nicholson. This guy. I see Jack in whatever he does, but it's such an interesting variation of Jack in everything that he does. It's just so impressive. And you may disagree, and that, oh, nice. Hi, buddy. I love you, Orion, but you got to get down, man. Come on. Wow. Okay. Anyway, Jack Nicholson, wonderful actor. Another example of an actor that you kind of, and you may disagree, and that's fine, but another example of an actor where you kind of see him and everything he does is Denzel, man. But he does it beautifully. I mean, you see that Denzel swagger in everything he does. There's a movement. There's a movement to the left or the right. He does. There's an identifiable facial response to things that Denzel experiences in all his movies, and you recognize it. Does it take me out of the story? No, not at all. Because despite the fact that you see Denzel in most everything he does, he always draws you in. He manages always to draw you in, and that's because, to me, in my humble opinion, that's because he doesn't go so far over the top in his character development that he comes off fake. So I don't know that in my work if I'm the best example of that, but that's what I strive to do as an actor. It's not lazy acting. It's just being real. There's just certain things that I'm not going to pull off naturally. On the other hand, after you've built your character and you've come up with something that really makes sense to you based on the story and what you've learned about that character, if you practice and you've read and you've been in the mirror and you've had some repetition in rehearsals and you have taken on this completely opposite persona and have found some muscle memorization in it, and some confidence and some flow, and switching into this guy has become second nature. That's quite an accomplishment. So I'm not trying to naysay anyone who wants to do the work to completely transform, but just make sure it's natural. So you've done your homework. You know who this guy is. You have a basic outline of this guy or this character, and we're now talking about nuances. We're talking now about and maybe not necessarily in this order, but at some point you're gonna take a look at, okay, how does this person move, this person's swag, if you will. I think back to when I was a child. I was I've always been a people watcher. Me, I've probably been an actor, pretty much since the womb, because there's images in my life, and I'm sure we have this in common, but there's images in my life that, from a child that are stored away in my mental library. When I became an actor, I learned quickly not to let these images fade. So, we all have there's images. There's there's images you see in the movies. There's images you see on the street. There's images you see on public transportation, riding to work. These are people. These are personalities. These are real life characters. I've stored so many of these characters away over the years, and because I thought, I may just need to call on them at some point in my acting career, and I have, more than a few times, and it really gives you something concrete to go on when you're pursuing developing a character. When you have an image in your mind of a certain character already, it's helpful. It's very helpful because you'll know kind of instinctively how to move as this character. And it doesn't always have to be just that particular image in your head. It could be a couple images in your head, and you can merge them together. It could be 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. So you don't have to limit your creativity, and calling on those images from your past is not limiting your creativity. Because the sky's the limit. There is no limit to what you can do creatively. In other words, it's not copying. It's using your memories, the images that you have in your mind from your past to create. For example, one of my first lead roles was a character named Robert Lee. In a play called Dancing on Moonlight. Robert Lee was a 1920s gangster, African American 1920s gangster, and this guy was bad. He was young, I believe. I think the storyline went from his childhood through early 20s. And the director of this show, shout out to the lovely Eileen Morris, the director of this show, she was talking to me about a part in the play, but she told me that she didn't think that I'd be right for the lead, which was this gangster guy. And up until then, I'd play the young guy chasing the girl, or the school teacher, the real straight laced guy, and those characters are kind of close to my everyday personality, and so there's no way that she'd see me, this young humble, scared actor as this cocky, smooth, ballsy 1920s gangster. I don't know. I looked her in her eyes, and I told her that I really thought that I could do it, and I really wanted to do it, and she gave me this look and said, "Okay, I don't know. Maybe there's something about when someone looks you in the eyes and says, I can do it. Maybe sometimes you just have to listen to that. So, a bit of advice, if there's something that you want out there, go and get it. And you let people know that, hey, you can do it, Anyway, so I take on this role, knowing I have, I have something to prove. And having something to prove, by the way, is not a bad place to be. It's okay to sometimes to have something to prove. Go on and prove it. Sometimes we become complacent. I like that space of I don't have anything to prove. As an actor, you got a lot to prove. You're always proving, and you're always striving, if not to prove to anyone else, to prove it to yourself. And no matter what you take on in this life, you should always be striving to be the best you can be. So that's a daily lesson to myself, to always be, to always strive to be better than I am. But I apologize for getting off track. So I'm taking on this character. I'm reading about him. I'm learning about him. And I thought, this guy, first of all, he needs to be different from anyone I've ever played. He can't look like me. He can't be Jonathan. And so I thought, okay, who is this guy? I went back to my mental library, and first person, for whatever reason, I thought Smooth. This guy seemed really, really smooth to me. I'm like a pimp type. So I thought, okay, Snoop Dogg. Okay. All right. Snoop has that real smooth kind of a high pitch, kind of a deep, low, high pitch voice. And then there's Morris Day from, I think it's Morris Day from the time. I'm going to have to research to make sure. But anyway, the guy is saying, okay. Anyway, there was that guy, real slick. Okay. And then, this was a while ago, but I think I thought about the black and white movies, gangster movies of the past. So I thought of someone like a James Cagney. So I put these three characters together to shape Robert Lee. And to go back to one of the lines Robert Lee had in the play, he said something like, players coming over to the north side to collect on hits they played with you and there being no record of it. Now that, plus the numerous cats that are just too happy to bend my ear about you, it all adds up to a loss of trust. Now I'm a righteous brother, and I'll tell you to your face, you's a goddamn thief, Charlie. And once I had that mixture solidified in my mind, I was off to the races. And man, there was just such a confidence there. I remember I had a really supportive partner at the time, and we just kind of just drilled the lines. I mean, I could lay back and just kind of close my eyes, and the words would flow. But the words flowed because I knew who this guy was. He talked fast, but he talked fast, but he was smooth, but he was clear. You knew exactly what he was saying, and everything that he said seemed rehearsed. I knew this about this guy. I knew he had to be just that slick, just that smooth, and I knew that I had to pull it off. That's not Jonathan Berry. That's not who I am. So I've had maybe a couple roles similar to that since, and that I really felt like I completely transformed myself, and it does take that, whether you're taking a little bit of yourself with you or not, whether we see who you really are on stage along with your character, whether that happens or not, you do need to make sure that you're transformed, and that's getting into character. And I think that I could shoot an entire show on just that, and I will. That we may as well make this a series, and we'll delve into that in the next video. So you have a schedule. You're into your script. You've taken the time to study your script, study your character. You know who this guy is. Now you know. Now you not only know who this guy is, but you know how this guy moves, walks, and talks. You got his style, and you have his flavor down. So now you just need to solidify this character, and that comes with repetition. That comes reading this thing over and over again as that character, practicing in the mirror, practicing in the shower, practicing on your partner. Being this guy a little bit at work sometimes doesn't hurt. Keeping this guy in your head, and definitely the repetition in throughout the rehearsal process. You'll get an opportunity to within your rehearsal process, hopefully to match what or connect to the other actors and respond to the work that they've done on their character, and bounce things off of each other. And hopefully by opening night, with diligence and repetition, and just really being devoted to polishing your work, you'll have a victorious opening. What I talked about at the top of the video is probably the most important thing, and that is just getting to your script as soon as possible. The more you read this thing, the more it's going to come. The more you read it, the quicker it will come. So it's going to happen. The more you study the other characters, the more you read about your character, the more you speak as your character. The creativity and the development just kind of happens on its own anyway. Keep your face in your script as much as you can. Take healthy breaks from it. Do everything in your power to avoid burnout and fatigue. Give yourself time to approach your script with some energy, alertness, and electricity. That being said, if you have any comments, if you have any comments that you'd like to share, or ideas for future shows, or topics for future shows, if you'd like to share an exercise for solidifying your character, or for getting into the character, please comment below. Do me a huge favor, if you didn't trail off and you stuck it out for the entire video, push the like button, and definitely subscribe if you'd like to see future videos by this actor. And until next time, dream unrealistic with me, and